Hello.
We're here.
Yes, welcome to Sidewalk Slam. I don't think I actually said welcome to Sidewalk Slam at the beginning of the last episode.
I think you did.
Well, it's Sidewalk Slam is the name of this. Looks like some sort of Sidewalk Slam is the name of this podcast video series, looking at wrestling storylines. And boy, when you want to look at wrestling storylines,
Yeah.
the worst pay-per-view for that is Survivor Series.
Oh, yeah.
Which is what we're talking about today.
There's no, I mean, they keep like pre-existing feuds, like kind of just barely led them along.
Yeah.
And then they kind of try to do this, especially this year, because this year was the big brand versus brand.
Which they've done before at Survivor
showcase,
Series.
which I've never seen.
Yeah.
So, were they any good?
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah.
Was it just John Cena's team winning over and over again? Like, I'm just assuming.
Probably.
Like, yeah.
This is the 30th Survivor Series. It's the second longest running WWE pay-per-view after WrestleMania, I believe. And the tagline for this one is...
I just realized, actually, this week that I am the same age as WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'll be 33 next year. Well, December 30, like the end of the year. But next year's WrestleMania 33. I don't know why it didn't click in like that. But anyway.
The tagline for the Survivor Series is Fantasy Warfare Just Got Real.
Yeah, because the headlining match of Survivor Series 2016 is Brock Lesnar versus Bill Goldberg, and it's a large part of it is to promote the WWE 2K17 video game.
They're not... The video game is not like a sponsor of the pay-per-view, but you wouldn't know it.
Sponsor yourself?
Because they talk. Well, I mean, yeah, they'll do like the last one was brought to you by KFC, Mattel, and WWE 2K17, and then one prior was brought to you by WWE 2K17 as like a because like 2K gives them sponsorship money because it sells the game.
Oh right, yeah, 2K. Okay,
and but this one they talk about it more than they talk about any of the other things. So yeah, the Survivor Series.
Yes.
Is typified by the...
we haven't covered a Survivor Series before, I'm just realizing.
Or exemplified, I guess, by the traditional, as they call it now, the traditional Survivor Series match, which they didn't do for some years. There were some Survivor Series pay-per-views in the middle there, where they were like, it's another pay-per-view, whatever. Yeah. You want to do this match? Nah, it's dumb. This year...
But originally, I'm pretty sure... Originally, Survivor Series was 4-on-4. And the way they did it in the 80s, like the Hogan era, was like 4-on-4. And then the survivors of that, I think they only did it 1 year, but maybe they did it 2 different years. And like, I want to say Survivor Series like 89 and 90 or like 90 and 91. Someone's going to correct me. And this is just going off the top of my head. But they used to do 4-on-4. And then the survivors of the match, like, so you'd have 4-on-4 and it's elimination. Mm-hmm. So whoever was left over from the winning team would go to the main event. So
they've done ones like that.
Yeah.
So yes, kind of, but the original, the first one in 1987, the main event was Andre the Giant, One Man Gang, King Kong Bundy, Butch Reed, and Rick Rude.
Yeah.
5-on-5 versus Hulk Hogan, Paul Orndorff, Don Muraco, Ken Patera, and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Jeez.
That was the first Survivor Series match. But they have done 4-on-4
Bam Bam Bigelow wrestle at an ECW show, and it was awesome.
Really?
Bigelow is so good. For those of you who don't know who he is, just look up clips of Bam Bam Bigelow. He's like a big dude who could move around before big dudes could move around as easily as they do. You know what I mean? Like now it's like every big guy is like athletic, but this was back in the day when he's just kind of like a doughy looking dude. Yeah. But he was super athletic and it was awesome.
So this show has 3, as well as the rest of the card, it has 3 traditional Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination matches. So the way the elimination works is you got 5 people on one side, 5 people on the other side.
Yeah.
It's a tag match.
Yeah.
But whenever someone gets pinned or submits, they are eliminated, but the other wrestlers keep going. And it is not until one team is entirely eliminated that the other team wins.
Yes.
And SmackDown Live this year challenged Raw to 3 matches with the tag team, the women, and the men. So 3 5-on-5 matches. In the case of the tag teams, it's 5 teams versus 5 teams, meaning it was a shit show.
Yeah.
Basically for bragging rights of who's the better brand.
Yeah, but it's just like, okay, look, I have a hard time buying into this bragging rights thing. Actually, there's no B, because they're advertising each other's pay-per-views on each other's shows.
Yeah.
And that breaks my, I can't suspend my disbelief enough for them to go from hey, we're beating you in the ratings to hey, you should watch Hell in a Cell. It's on this Sunday, right during a SmackDown.
Right.
So that's why I had a hard time, because I was really negative about this show after it finished. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of a byproduct of my personal life and what was going on with my work and everything else. So I was probably just bitter. I was just mad. So I just needed something to lash out at. And I didn't really like this show. And even looking back, I still don't really like it.
There were some okay parts.
There were some really great moments. The only brand to advance storylines was SmackDown.
Yeah, Raw didn't advance a thing.
Raw didn't do shit.
Yeah.
But SmackDown definitely did. SmackDown actually had one of the better moments of the year.
Yeah.
And then it's they're having title matches. They had a Intercontinental title match between Miz and Sami Zayn. We'll get to it. But overall, the show I thought was... It was lackluster at best.
Well, let's get right into it.
All right.
Live from the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
That's us!
That's us.
Well, kind of. We're on the opposite side of the country, but...
And brought to you by Hulu, Mattel, Walmart, and K Jewelers. Because
I like how announcing the sponsors is a thing for us. I don't know why.
I just find it funny.
Yeah.
K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with a K.
Yeah.
What? Why for the wrestling? What?
Yeah.
I think one of the earliest ones we did was brought to you by Gold Bond or
yeah. It was Toys R Us.
Rolaids.
There was a Rolaids one and there was a Toys R Us one, which I understand.
Toys R Us makes a little bit more sense.
The
anyway.
KFC one is kind of funny. Because all these athletic, really in shape people, and they're trying to slang you some KFC, put this in your mouth, you fuck.
Can I say also that I hugely admire Vince's restraint, or maybe someone just told him, maybe Triple H backed him into a corner and made him told him not to do it, but to not, because this is in Canada.
Yeah.
Right? It's a Survivor Series in Canada that they did not reference or recreate the Montreal Screwjob in any way. Because that was
pseudo, maybe a little bit on the Sami Zayn, but
because that was Survivor Series 1997.
Yeah. Have we talked about that?
That's so big.
It's a big
There's an
thing.
episode of Radio Lab you should listen to.
I've been looking for that and I can't find it anywhere.
I will link it to you.
Okay.
I will tweet it about it as well so that everyone else can find it. But anyway, Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Kickoff show. 2 matches on the kickoff show. Rich Swann and TJ Perkins and Noam Dar defeating Drew Gulak, Tony Nese, and Daivari.
I don't think I watched the pre-show this time.
Swann pinning Daivari with the standing 450 splash.
Yeah.
So cruiserweight match in the pre-show. And also Kane defeating Luke Harper by pinfall with chokeslam. This is the returned Luke Harper at No Mercy in the main event, if you recall there.
And Kane's just always kind of hanging out.
Kane's reliable.
Yeah. I have no problems with Kane. I'm glad, these, older wrestlers are kind of just, taking a break, right? Giving the chance for some of these younger guys to...
So, first up...
sorry, can we first... this was also the weekend of TakeOver, which is usually the night before.
Right.
And it was awesome. It was a great show.
Yeah.
There was I think we've talked about Ty Dillinger before on the show. He has the Perfect 10 gimmick, which is awesome. And the whole weekend, the crowd, whenever any count happened, all they said was 10. And
so the ref's going 1, and 2, and the crowd's going 10.
Yeah, and 10. Ty Dillinger's from Ontario, he's from near Toronto.
Nice.
So he fought Bobby Roode, and he lost to Bobby Roode.
It was an amazing in-ring match for them just...
Bobby Roode came out to this choir, was singing his song.
Glorious.
And then the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic happened. The Authors of Pain, who are managed by Paul Ellering, won the match. They did an old school...
What in the fuck was this match?
Okay, first off, the cage there's a toy set coming out that they're advertising, but also that cage has been used in old NWA and like, you know, like the Jim Crockett era of like wrestling, like
So
the 70s, they
keep
put
the
the manager like, because they're always interfering and stuff, and they put the manager in this cage.
So-
Wrestling's the fucking best. Do not look at me and say wrestling is not the best.
No. It's just, it's like, it's one of those things that's really cool, but really
dumb.
stupid.
It's dumb. It's so dumb, but who cares, man? I'm just like, put them in a cage. Put them all in a cage.
Put him in a cage and elevate it above the ring.
And hang it above the ring. So yeah, but there was one awesome moment in that match where Paul Ellering took the chain off that was tying the cage shut and like dropped it down to his team to help them cheat. And I was like, all right. Paul Ellering is an old school manager. He used to manage the Road Warriors, who were the Legion of Doom.
Right.
It was like his big thing. And then I'm trying to think what else happened. That Asuka beat a returning Mickie James,
Which was sweet.
yeah, it was really good.
Mickie
I'd never
James
seen.
barely looks like she left.
Yeah, I'd never seen Mickie James wrestle, so I was like, oh wow, she's really good.
Yeah.
And she's like a little bit, I don't want to say old, but she's older. And DIY beat the Revival in a match of the year contender. I don't think it was better than their last match, but it was very good. If I had to pick one, if you only get one entrant into like a match of the year candidate, then I'm going to pick the match from Brooklyn.
Right.
But in a 2 out of 3 falls match, so DIY are the new tag team champions, and everyone's like, I love how anytime anybody loses in NXT, like, see you on Monday, like, you know, like everybody is just like immediately. I don't think we'll see the Revival till WrestleMania, probably, or after WrestleMania.
Probably, yeah.
And Samoa Joe beat Shinsuke Nakamura after a low blow, and then I don't know what he calls that move, but he does like that. Do you know that thing he did when they run at him in the corner and he does like the rock bottom kind of thing?
Oh, yeah.
He did that onto the steps on the outside,
Right.
and then he did the muscle buster in the ring. So Samoa Joe won. That was surprise. I didn't think Shinsuke was losing that match.
Yeah.
I love Samoa Joe though, so I was like okay with it. I think they're airing the episode tonight, but there was an NXT show in Osaka. And Shinsuke beat Joe for the title, so Shinsuke is the champion again. So, yeah.
Was it the Chimeraplex?
No.
The Island Driver?
Maybe. I don't know what they call it.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Comments! Yes!
Figure our stuff out for us.
Yeah.
So, that was the
So
night
that was
before.
TakeOver. That was the night before.
Then we had the
Toronto,
pre-show.
the Canadian crowds are the best, by
Yeah.
the way. Just the best.
I think so, but more on that later.
Oh, yeah! I forgot about... Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Women's match. Survivor Series women's match. Team Raw, Bayley, Alicia Fox, Nia Jax, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte Flair with Dana Brooke.
Yeah.
So Dana's at ringside. Versus Team SmackDown Live, Becky Lynch, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and Natalya.
Sorry, we kind of spoiled it there. It wasn't Natalya, it was Nikki Bella.
Nikki Bella.
Yeah, Nikki Bella. The Raw team comes out first.
Yep.
And then the SmackDown team coming out.
Yeah.
And Nikki Bella's music hits. And they're like, where is she?
Where is she?
She's not coming out. And they go in the back and she's kind of just sitting there like holding her neck and being attended to by medical staff. And she's like, oh, my neck,
And
my neck.
Natalya, who's the coach for Team SmackDown, is there because, after the match was announced, she started buttering up Shane. It was like, hey, or was it Brian? I think it was Daniel Bryan. And she was like, hey, I should be on Team SmackDown. And Daniel Bryan's like, okay, why? And she's like, because I'm great and I can teach them how to do this, and I've done it before, and I'm like a veteran on this roster, and I'll be a great captain, and I'll do us proud.
Yeah.
And Dan Brown's like, okay, well, if you want to teach them that, then cool, you be the coach. So goes backstage, and Natalya's there, being like, oh, geez,
gee whiz, that sucks. Yeah.
yeah, like, well, I mean, I'm the coach. I guess it's my responsibility to get in there, right, Daniel Bryan? And he's like, I guess. Fuck, fine, go get out there.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't watched any SmackDown since then. Is it pretty heavily implied that Natalya took Nikki out?
They don't actually talk about it that much, but then at TLC, Carmella and Nikki have a match that Nikki wins. And after the match, Carmella just gets on the mic and is like, Natty attacked you. Like, just outs her. Like, just like, yeah. She's like, Natalya was the one that attacked you at Survivor Series.
Interesting.
mic drop, which I thought was pretty sweet.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, so at least that there's some sort of follow through there. So then Natalia's in the match. Everyone comes out in everyone's sort of color coded. Like their ring gear is like for the Raw, the red versions of their ring gear for SmackDown. They're wearing whatever. Nia Jax has red ring gear, but just has like the Raw T-shirt, which they all sort of come out wearing the Raw T-shirts, but then they take the T-shirts off. Nia Jax doesn't. She leaves her Raw T-shirt on, and it looks really stupid.
It looks really dumb.
It looks super stupid. It's like, you're imposing, but this is not working.
Not helping,
Yeah.
Match was fun.
Yeah, it's okay.
All these matches are fun. It's like there's just nothing story. There's nothing really story in the men's match. There is some storyline stuff, which is great.
The men's match. Which is, it's not to say that the people in that match are necessarily better than the people in the tag match or this match.
No.
But the men's Survivor Series match was better than a Survivor Series match usually is or needs to be.
Yeah.
It was elevated in terms of the storytelling in the ring.
Yeah.
Generally, these matches are just sort of fun and whatever.
The only storytelling in this match was like Sasha and Charlotte tagging each other really hard.
Yeah,
and
they tag themselves in.
Yeah, and
by like slapping each other.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, really. Like,
getting to see Nia Jax fight a not jobber was interesting.
It was good. It was good for her, and I want to see more of it.
Yeah,
I don't want to see her just beat up everyone. Mm-hmm. It's just like Braun Strowman. Like, I didn't mention this on the last show, but weren't Braun and Sami supposed to have a match last pay-per-view, and they didn't?
I thought so.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Remember?
Because Because
leading up to this, didn't Braun Strowman beat up... No, this was the Raw after this pay-per-view happened. Sorry. The Raw after Survivor Series, Braun has a match with Sami Zayn and beats up Sami Zayn so bad that Foley comes down and stops the match.
Yeah, because he did his normal like jobbing and is like, Foley, you got to stop bringing me all this weak crap. And then the writers were like, oh, hey, wait, Sammy's on our roster. And Sami Zayn came out and like... didn't say anything, just sort of like showed up and looked at Braun Strowman and I'm like, Sammy, what are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing, Sammy?
Sammy,
you don't need to fight this guy.
Sammy, no!
This guy's big.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do get there's the crowd's pretty into this match. We get like Let's Go SmackDown, Let's Go Raw chants back and forth. Like you said last episode, Becky makes Nia submit to the disarm her.
Yes,
which is pretty cool.
Good. It's good for not only Becky, but it's good for Nia's character. Mm-hmm. I hate ever since the great Brock Lesnar debacle of 2016 and parts of 2015. Mm-hmm. Like I just don't want to see somebody run over everyone.
Yeah,
and unless the payoff is going to be worth it.
Yeah,
you know.
The elimination. If you want to know the order of eliminations, Carmella gets eliminated first.
Yeah.
By Alicia Fox.
Yeah.
Then Alexa eliminates Alicia Fox. Mm-hmm. And then Naomi gets counted out because Nia Jax shoves her into the ring post.
Yeah,
and then chucks her on the floor outside the ring. Then Natalya gets a roll up on Sasha Banks.
Yeah. That was shocking.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that to happen. Also, Natalya is a hometown girl. No, she's not a hometown girl. Home country girl.
Home country, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously it's not like one-on-one Natalya and Sasha. Like it's a melee, right?
Yeah.
Charlotte eliminates Natalya with a big boot. Then Becky submits Nia Jax. Mm-hmm. Charlotte hits another big boot on Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
So now it's 2-1 in favor of Raw.
Yeah.
And it's Charlotte and Bayley.
Yeah.
On the Raw team.
Yeah.
Who they don't like each other much.
Which I thought was a weird choice.
Like, it's interesting though because they're like. Because Bayley's sort of like, I guess I got to work with you. And, like, Becky and Bayley are better friends than Bayley and Charlotte are.
Yeah.
But it's like, well,
all right.
Okie dokie. And Bayley gets the win with a belly-to-belly suplex on Becky.
Yeah.
I actually can't remember if it's this. Oh, it might have been Hell in a Cell. Where there's a Bayley match earlier in the card. Which is true on both pay-per-views, before a New Day match. And Michael Cole calls Big E's belly-to-belly, or the booty-to-belly, or whatever. Anyway, Big E does a belly-to-belly suplex, and Cole calls it the belly-to-belly.
Really?
Yeah.
And belly-to-belly by Big E! Wow. Good God.
That is kind of funny.
Yeah. So yeah, the winners are
Team Raw.
Team Raw. Charlotte Flair and Becky are the survivors.
Yeah.
And not the sole survivors.
Yeah, fucking, what the fuck is that?
You can't be a sole survivor with two people. Yeah. You can have a sole, they've called this before where it's like the sole survivor, like Randy Orton has been like the only survivor for his team, or Ziggler famously was the only survivor for his team.
Like you literally, you just can't say sole survivors.
Yeah. That's
it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like, all right. Also, Charlotte attacks Bayley
after the match, yeah. Because you see, Charlotte is a bad guy.
Which is what I thought the feud that's the feud they were going into. After watching this, I was like, oh, I guess Charlotte and Bayley are feuding, right? Because they hadn't announced like any matches or anything for Charlotte and Sasha coming up at this point. Mm-hmm. Like they weren't like, oh, you two have a match to the next pay-per-view or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Team Raw won. It was fun. It was a good match. Like I hate to make it sound like we're just like glazing over this because it was fun.
Yeah.
But there's just nothing to talk about story-wise. It's just like, all right, yeah, it was fun. It was a good match. The women have proven that they can consistently wrestle just as well as the men. Like it doesn't even it's not even an issue at this point. But it's just like there's nothing of note.
After No Mercy, and the barnstormer of a match between The Miz and Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
After that match, because we said in that episode, and I left the first comment on that episode being like, because it's been so long.
When I read
because it's been so long, there's some storylines that Graham is very excited about that then end up not panning out.
Yeah.
So they did that amazing match. Ziggler wins the Intercontinental title, and I was really excited to see where it goes. Yeah. And the next SmackDown, The Miz comes out and has a moment of silence for the death of the Intercontinental Championship.
Fuck, it was awesome. He has a moment last night that is, I don't even want to, sorry, okay, keep going.
Yeah. So, the death of the Intercontinental title, and he's like, look, I'm a star, I'm in movies, you know what happens to the hero of a movie, they get the gold and they get the girl, I've already got the girl, I'm going to get the gold back, and also you're fighting a 2-on-1 handicap match against the Spirit Squad tonight. Why not? Long story short, the next match at Survivor Series is The Miz defending his Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
What happened? What the shit? How did you come off of No Mercy with Ziggler winning?
Yeah. Because when they announced this match, it was Ziggler versus Zayn. And everyone's like, yes, gimme. Like, we all just wanted to see it. We're just like, just give me those two in the ring.
It was a cross-promotional match with SmackDown champion Ziggler, SmackDown Intercontinental champion, defending against Raw roster performer Sami Zayn.
Because originally, Sami Zayn is the one that challenged Ziggler, right?
Yeah.
He was like, oh, I'll challenge their Intercontinental champion, who was Ziggler at the time.
Yeah. So when I was watching, because I had missed some episodes of SmackDown, and I'm watching Survivor Series, and I'm like,
what Ziggler?
What happened?
The go-home episode of SmackDown.
Seriously?
Ziggler lost the title.
Just in a match?
Against the Miz. The Spirit Squad interfered. But
that's so stupid.
The go-home episode. I don't understand. I don't understand why they did it. I don't know, man. I guess they
actually had no idea what they were going to do after Ziggler got the belt, did they?
I don't think so. But
they built up that storyline so well.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, I guess we don't know what to do. Put it back on The Miz.
Because The Miz is just so on fire right now, right? He must be just... A lot of the stuff, like, you know what I mean? Like, I understand where you're coming from.
It bums me out.
I'm looking at it from, like, if I was writing the story, and I was like, Miz is just easier to write for because he's doing so well right now. Not to take anything away from Ziggler, but Miz is just on another level.
Yeah, but you can still do that.
I know.
I not have Ziggler immediately just lose the title back.
Yeah.
Like, this whole thing about, like, his career on the line and all that stuff, and the promo that he says on SmackDown the day after, or the SmackDown after No Mercy, when he's like, I didn't know if I would be here tonight. Seriously, check your DVRs at home and look at the info box. I'm not in there. Like, I didn't know that I would be here, and yet here I am, and I'm the champion, and then, like, 3 weeks later, it's like, oh, no, you're not.
Yeah. I find it funny how, like, the match's career's on the line, he wins, right? And then he just loses it like a couple weeks later, but he still has a job. You know what I mean? Like, his career's like fine.
Yeah.
I think I was like, oh, okay, I guess. But yeah, I definitely disagree with that move from, like, a storyline standpoint.
Yeah.
Just because, but maybe you're right. Maybe they didn't have any idea what to do. Like, because
That was
who does Ziggler fight?
Corbin? That could be interesting. Who's on the mid
They've
card?
already fought Corbin though.
Yeah, but not for a title. They just fought
Yeah,
for
that's
whatever.
true.
Like,
They fought
who's
for
on the mid card on
funsies.
SmackDown, right?
Not a lot of people. That's the one problem with SmackDown is the mid card is literally a Ziggler and Miz. Like that's it. Because whereas Apollo Crews has been gone since SummerSlam.
He's definitely undercard.
Yeah. And then they have
Kalisto's
Corbin
injured.
and Kalisto. Well, Corbin and Kalisto had a match at TLC.
Right.
But Corbin's like around. But Corbin, I like Corbin a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think he's like super boring and stuff.
I like him.
I think he's great.
Yeah.
But that's really it. Cruz is dead to rights. Like
Yeah.
he's just nowhere to be. Even the build up for him fighting the Miz was like, Apollo Crews, you're fighting now. It's like, all right, time to smile. And then Corbin, Ziggler, Miz, Kalisto, I guess you could keep in that. I'm trying to think. Kurt Hawkins, I guess?
Yeah.
But he hasn't actually... Well,
He
wrestled
hasn't
on the
actually
pre-show.
wrestled yet.
He wrestled on the pre-show for this, didn't he?
Nope.
Pre-show for Survivor? Oh, he wrestled on the pre-show for TLC.
Did he actually wrestle
Yeah,
though?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because he's been doing that thing where he comes out and he's like, "Man, I'm not going to wrestle," and
Yeah.
leaves.
No, sorry, I got it. Yeah, confused. But anyway, yeah, there's not much for Ziggler to do, I guess. With no, I guess he could keep wrestling the Miz, but
Eric Rowan?
question mark. He's hurt again.
Oh, he's got a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Swagger?
Oh right, Jack Swagger. I think Corbin fucking beat him so bad that he just deleted. Like, he's gone. He hasn't been back since Corbin beat him, has he?
No, you're right.
Maybe Swagger's hurt.
According to this, he's not. But yeah, that's the whole undercard
Yeah, it's not
or
very
the
good.
whole mid card. Holy crap, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is just.
To be fair, the
it is
main
just
event
Ziggler and the
scene
Miz.
isn't much better. It's like, don't get me wrong, SmackDown is very good, but I am really getting scared about what's going to happen going forward.
Yeah. So this is the Miz defending against Sami Zayn.
Yes,
Kind of
and
randomly.
you know, Sami isn't winning this match.
But
Okay, yeah.
so we've talked about the meta stuff before,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Being like, well, they didn't,
Yeah.
they won. So there's the two levels, right? There's the storyline tropes.
Yeah.
Like, well, if so and so wins on the go home show, then they're not going to win at the pay per view.
Yeah.
But there's also, we talked about like the actual like metagaming before, like so and so's got to go film a movie, so they're
Yeah.
not going to win, right? So
Okay.
there's there's this match which is inter-promotional.
Yeah.
And there's also Brian Kendrick defending against Kalisto.
Yeah.
Who's on SmackDown. And the new cruiserweight show for the network, which is called 205 Live.
Yeah.
We know is planned to be taped after SmackDown.
It was live after SmackDown.
Yeah, or live after SmackDown.
Yeah, which was a bad choice because
Yeah.
I watched the first episode and the fucking arena was empty.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
the thought going into this
Yeah.
was Kalisto wins the cruiserweight title to SmackDown, and then Zayn wins the Intercontinental title to Raw to keep the title, the same number of
balance?
titles. Yeah.
yeah, but then what does the mid card do on SmackDown? Yeah, but you can't just. That's how I knew. I was like, "There's no way, not in a million years."
But apparently it's only like 3 guys that were in
Yeah, I guess so. But I was still like, even though there's not many.
The SmackDown roster, like the SmackDown men's roster, is like 30 guys, but only 8 of them are singles competitors.
Yeah, that's why I think Samoa Joe. I'm calling now. Samoa Joe and Nakamura are going to SmackDown.
I think it's going to be a while before Nakamura comes up.
But that's where he's going.
What, Joe? Yeah.
Both of them. They'll both go to SmackDown.
Yeah.
But I just, like, I was watching this match, I was like, there's no way Sami Zayn wins this match.
For trivia, by the way, The Miz beat Ziggler for the title on the 900th episode of SmackDown.
Oh, yeah, Undertaker was there. That's when Undertaker threatened everybody, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but this is how, like, I was just like, there's no way Sami Zayn takes that title.
Yeah.
Because even though Raw has 3 hours, and you guess you could kind of justify it, I was like, no, because, like, what does Ziggler and Miz do?
Yeah.
I guess Miz, you could just put him in the main event, right?
Miz grabs Zayn's tights and rolls him up and wins the match.
Well, first, Maurice rings the bell early.
Yeah.
Does Sammy have him in a submission hold? Yeah. He's got him in the figure 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Maurice rings the bell.
Rings the bell early. So Sammy's
lets
like,
go.
oh, yeah,
And the ref is like, I didn't call for the bell. And Maurice drops the hammer and is like, I don't know what he did it. I wasn't even anywhere near here.
Like, why was that not a disqual? Like, I mean, it wouldn't matter anyway because Miz would have retained on a disqualification, right? But the match itself was very good.
It's a good match. And I also like how Miz has continued to take more of Daniel Bryan's moveset just to piss off Daniel Bryan.
Do you think they're leading to Bryan versus Miz at WrestleMania?
No, because I don't think Bryan can. I truly don't think Bryan can wrestle.
I think people are deluded. Don't delude yourself.
Yeah.
Bryan is not cleared to wrestle, and they are just doing this for easy heat for Miz.
Yeah, which is great.
Is fine. They are not. Do not, please. I'm begging you. I do not want your heart to be broken. And if I'm wrong, then we all win.
Yeah, exactly.
But please, he's not going to wrestle.
Yeah.
So please, just stop saying it.
AJ Styles and Ambrose are backstage watching.
Yeah.
And Styles says that because of Styles, Team SmackDown is going to win their match. And Shane is like, well, good, because we already lost the first Survivor Series match, so you guys better step up.
Yeah. Well, I like how I think Styles is like, well, I mean, like, as long as you listen to me, we're going to win this match.
Yeah. And Ambrose is like...
Tell him, mate. You tell him, Styles.
Ambrose is like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a tag team match next.
Yay.
The 10-on-10 Survivor Series match. Enzo
Even just saying 10-on-10 just sounds like a fucking mess.
Enzo and Cass come out first, and they play to the home crowd, kind of. They like try to pander with talking about like Tim Hortons and stuff.
Oh, yeah. And we were like, yeah. I say we like I was there, but it was just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. It was okay, yeah, we get it.
Canadian fans in general are very smart.
Yeah.
It's like we know when we're being... Not just saying like, hey, we're not tricked. It's just like I think I would say like the higher percent of Canadian fans are smart. Like, you know what I mean? Like
to be fair, like I will eat at Tim Hortons.
Oh God, I go there
often,
at least once a day.
Like for like sandwiches and donuts or whatever. Yeah. Their coffee is divisive in Canada.
I love their coffee.
Yeah, I don't. I like their tea.
Over.
I know. See, like their drip coffee. Some people, it's like that's their coffee. Some people, it's like Tim Hortons and Starbucks tends to be, in terms of drip coffee, tends to be the sort of the division. I don't mind Tim Hortons coffee. I just don't think it's very good.
Yeah.
I had a latte at Tim Hortons because I was like, okay, I'll just have a latte because it's mostly milk.
That sounds like a bad idea.
Dude, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
It's the worst latte I've ever had.
Disclaimer, I know Tim Hortons coffee on the coffee hierarchy is not good.
No.
You know what I mean? But I like it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah. The drip coffee, I'm not going to judge anyone for being like, I like Tim Hortons drip coffee. It's like, all right, you do you, fam. But the latte was horrendous.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Graham and Adam in a Tim Hortons on a pole match. Fucking book it, Russo. We're doing it. Yeah,
every time we hit the turnbuckle, just like the Timbit dust, like all the icing sugar, just like
no, that's what you because I want to be the heel, so that's what I throw in your eyes before I roll you up is fucking Timbit dust from powdered sugar. I got you, yeah.
So the tag team match is Team Raw, Enzo and Cass, the Shining Stars, Gallows and Anderson, Sheamus and Cesaro, and the New Day versus Team SmackDown Live, Heath Slater and Rhino, Breezango, the Usos, the Hype Bros, and American Alpha.
How fucking good was Breezango coming out as the Fashion Police?
Oh my God, I love this. I love this so much. Yeah. So they're apparently, is this the thing they did on SmackDown?
Yeah.
Or is it, okay, they're dressed up like cops.
Yeah, with like little midriff shirts.
Oh, like they're dressed up like strippers who dress like cops dress.
Yeah,
and they have like a pad of tickets, and they're coming out and giving citations because they're the fashion police.
It's the fucking best.
Oh man!
Look, man, I said it probably on the last show. Like they have impressed me with their comedic abilities.
They're so funny, and so Fandango, Big E grabs him, and New Day hits him with a Midnight Hour.
Talking about when he was ticketing everybody.
Yeah, but he's going around ticketing everybody, but then they just immediately get eliminated.
Yeah, they're out pretty quick.
And then Jimmy Uso is like, well, if they're out, then that means any one of us can come in next. I will. Super kicks Kingston.
Yeah. New Day's out.
New Day's out.
I was like,
immediately.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah, and they just look, everyone's like,
wait, what?
What just happened? Because this is like the first 30 seconds of the match. Yeah. Oh, by the way, the No Mercy episode, I was like talking about how much I hate the name Beauty and the Man Beast.
Yeah.
Apparently, so I missed this because I don't watch Talking Smack.
Slater's
because I
the
don't have
Man
enough
Beast.
time. According to Rhino, he is the Beauty and Slater is the Man Beast.
Yeah.
Which is funny. That's still a dumb name for their tag team.
Yeah, it's still stupid.
It is funny though.
Yeah. I saw it brought up a couple times on the YouTube comments.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I guess like it's funny, but still not a good name.
Yeah. Anyway,
they got a pretty good pop too. Still, like a lot of people after this pay-per-view and leading into TLC, I found that like had run pretty dry on Slater and Rhino as a tag team, but they really kind of stopped doing the things that made Slater and Rhino so much fun to begin with. Was those vignettes?
Yeah.
Like going into Heath's like trailer park and stuff.
Yeah.
And they just kind of stopped those, and they're just like, "Here's your champs," and that's it. And it's just like, oh yeah,
it's
all
like
right.
So. Here's an analogy. They did those to get Slater and Rhino over.
Yeah.
But then once they were over, they just sort of stopped. They were like, well, they're over now.
Yeah.
So let's not worry about it.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola doesn't need to advertise to get people to buy Coca-Cola. They sell plenty of Coca-Cola. They advertise to remind you that Coca-Cola exists. They're not trying to sell you on it. They're just like, hey, by the way, don't forget about Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah. And WWE never does that. They do vignettes and stuff to get someone over, but they never maintain momentum to keep them there.
Yeah, because it's like only in the rare cases where people will stay over for like a Daniel Bryan or a CM Punk or, you know, I guess we got tired of Brock Lesnar kind of in the last year.
Just because of how his matches are booked in the ring. But more on that later too.
But yeah, like for stuff like this, for people who weren't, or especially after the brand split, where we're like, well, fuck, what are you going to do with this guy? Like, we don't know. And the Slater was the surprise of the year for me.
Yeah.
Like how invested I was in that storyline, and like how long it took for him going back and forth to each show, and like this is dating like pre-SummerSlam. Like he still wasn't signed. Like he was the last person on the brand split draft show. We talked about how they turned the lights off on him.
It was great.
And now it's just like
once he got his double wide trailer, everyone stopped caring.
Yeah, I guess that's part of the problem with writing, because I don't write anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know how difficult it is, right? I can sit here and like, oh yeah, you're just not doing the things that made him popular in the first place.
You can have story climaxes, like Slater and Rhino winning the titles was a story climax.
Yeah.
But they never seem to have like a plan for and then.
After, yeah. Because like even if they just showed like Slater and Rhino living the high life for a little bit, and then, you know what I mean? Like
living Slater's character's idea of a high life.
You know, but we didn't really see any of that, right? They mentioned it.
He tweeted a picture of his above ground pool.
Oh, really? Okay,
but that's it, right?
But that's it, right? Like, yeah, it's like on TV they would just show up and wrestle, and that's it.
Yeah. And randomly run down and save, because American Alpha and the Usos kept feuding.
Yeah.
After No Mercy, and then it was them, right? It was the Usos beating up American Alpha, I think, and then Slater and Rhino ran down for the save.
Yeah.
There hasn't been, by the way, leading up to Survivor Series, there hasn't been any big story worth noting in the SmackDown Tag Team division or the Raw Tag Team division, really.
Not really.
Like we mentioned, Raw Tag Team.
Like stuff has happened, but it's just like.
The Raw division is sort of like in a holding pattern until New Day either loses the titles or breaks Demolition's streak. And then
which we went into.
Yeah, and then SmackDown doesn't really have much going on. Yeah. The Hype Bros are now in. Well, Mojo Rawley's in. Yeah. And does this thing where he...
Dude, I like for some reason I feel really bad for how much I dislike Mojo Rawley. Like, doesn't he annoy you? He annoys me.
What did you think of his corner thing? He like sort of... He threw one of the Raw people, I can't remember who it was, he threw Gallows or Anderson into the corner.
Yeah.
And then like sort of did like a hype dance towards the corner and then yelled duck, and all of Team SmackDown in the corner ducked so that he could like clap the guy's head.
Yeah, I guess so.
That was kind of funny.
But for some reason the guy just bothers me. Maybe because I think I'm just upset that he's just...
That he's killed...
Zack Ryder's been saddled with him, basically.
Yeah. That bums me out
You
too.
know what I mean? Like,
I think about that a lot, actually.
You're just mad at him just by guilty by association, right?
Yeah.
Like, but even then, like he at the TLC pay-per-view, he was on a multi-man match, I think. Yeah, there was
just Mojo
pre-show. There was a multi-man pre-show match. This is where Kurt Hawkins wrestled.
Oh, okay.
And Mojo Rawley proceeds to, at some point, he's in the ring, and the guy's at his feet, and Mojo Rawley does this thing. I don't know, fuck it, I wish I was exaggerating this. He yells out, "It's hammer time," and then proceeds to do like this little dance, like this. Like, I'm not even, you'll see it.
Okay.
He does this, and then he puts his hands together, and dances a bit more, and then sits out on his butt and like hammer drops on the guy's face. But the dance is like 30 seconds.
Huh. Weird.
It was dumb. But there's just something about Mojo Rawley. I'm sure he's
Sit out, hammer drop with theatrics.
I'm sure he's a perfectly nice human being, but when I'm watching him perform, I'm just like, I would like anybody else on the screen, please.
Well, luckily for you, the club very quickly eliminates the Hype Bros.
Yeah.
Which means American Alpha come in,
Yay!
and they hit drop kicks on Gallows and Anderson.
People are getting, when I say people, I just mean like, this is what I'm reading as far as like general opinion goes, that I get from people, is like, people are getting kind of annoyed that American Alpha are being quote unquote held down, they feel. Like they're not being, because they were so popular coming out of NXT.
Yeah,
I think they're just kind of like waiting, you know what I mean? Like it's not like.
I think yeah, there's chance for stuff to happen.
Yeah.
The Shining Stars actually get to like do stuff.
Yeah, good for them.
Which is neat.
You know, as hard as time as we give them.
Yeah.
Admittedly, the timeshare thing I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, but that's
Like,
all they've done.
Yeah, but that's it. You know, they're just turning into like used car salesmen, like trying to sell timeshares to people.
Then American Alpha eliminates them.
Okay, admission time. What the fuck is a timeshare?
So it's like you and other people go in on the cost of buying like a I don't know, like a house or an apartment or whatever, and then you get it for like 3 months of the year, and then they get it for. So it's like you buy like a quarter of the place, but then you get it for 3 months of the year, and other people get it for the other 3/4 sort of thing, and so it's like everyone gets to spend like
me and Graham bought this chair, but we just drew a line straight down the middle.
Yeah, it's not like that. It's like they're typically in a tropical place or a place that it doesn't like if you went there in the winter it would still be great.
Yeah.
Right, and then you spend like some months of the year at like your vacation home or whatever. But they're also like notorious for being super expensive and shitty and not like a pyramid scheme, but like they're notorious for being like money sinks and preying on like seniors and stuff like that. And like timeshare presentations are a trope of like, hey, we'll give you a free night stay at this hotel and like a bunch of chips for this casino. Just listen to this hour-and-a-half timeshare presentation. And so, the idea that they're trying to sell timeshares to the Raw locker room is like, you bastards.
That's why we're supposed to hate them, though.
Yeah.
Now that I know what a timeshare is, I know I live in the age of Google, and I just could have typed in. I literally could have spent 10 seconds typing in timeshare.
Yeah.
But whatever. Fuck you. Don't judge me.
The club eliminates American Alpha. Mm-hmm. Then
Club looked awesome in this match, by the way.
Yeah. Rhino gores Gallows to eliminate the club.
Yeah.
Sheamus and Cesaro are sort of also involved. Like they keep kind of tagging each other in, like annoyingly or annoyed. They are bothered by one another as they continue to be.
It's great. I really like these two.
So yeah, the club gets eliminated. Slater and Rhino get eliminated by the Bada Boom Shakalaka.
Fuck. Yeah.
The Usos eliminate Enzo and Cass.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. I believe it's does it just come down to Sheamus, Cesaro versus the Usos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
so that's kind of surprising.
And then at the ending, Cesaro has one of them in the sharpshooter. The other Uso goes to break it up, and Sheamus bro kicks him, and then the other Uso taps out.
Yeah.
That's how it finishes.
Oh, right. Cesaro again busting out the 619.
Yeah. It's always impressive. I'm just like,
he's so tall.
Yeah.
How does he do it?
I don't know, man. How does Cesaro always hit that springboard spinning European uppercut?
I don't know.
He makes it look so easy. It's just like, if someone was like, I'll give you $1,000, you get 100 tries if you hit that.
Yeah.
Nope.
So the winner is Team Raw, with the team of Sheamus and Cesaro being the sole surviving team.
How did you feel
that?
about Raw going up 2-0? Did you think it was going to be a clean sweep?
I was a little worried about that, actually.
Yeah.
I was like...
I would have been even
is
more
Raw just
angry.
going to win this whole thing?
I would have been more angry if it was a clean sweep for Raw.
Yeah.
Like, you fucking couldn't...
I mean, the thing is, there's nothing...
Of all the masturbatory fucking things you could do.
If that had happened, it would have been. But
yeah.
There's nothing on the line for these matches, so I was like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if Raw goes on to win all three.
So I say nothing on the line. Nothing on the line for these matches.
Yeah.
But when we get to the men's match, we'll talk about things being on the line.
Yeah.
Backstage, Steph and McFoley high five. And they talk about how Raw is amazing, even though Sami Zayn didn't get it done. And Stephanie says that Sheamus and Cesaro is genius by Foley.
Yeah.
And so he should be rewarded. Foley asks if it'll be a paid vacation or stock options.
Yeah.
Steph is confused, and what she meant is that Sheamus and Cesaro are going to get a title shot against the New Day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think they booked it for the next night on Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a preview for Moana.
Oh, yeah, because The Rock's in it.
Because The Rock is in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to The Rock. Just being a beautiful human being.
So now the Cruiserweight... That's true fact, by the way.
I know, right? Like,
Cruiserweight Championship match. Brian Kendrick defending against Kalisto. If Kalisto wins, the Cruiserweights move to SmackDown. Which, this is why I was saying, everyone was like, okay, so obviously that's happening because they're taping the cruise. They're now tape. So does this
see, I knew, because I'm a fucking genius, that since Miz retained his title, that there's no way Kendrick was losing.
Now, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But also, so are Cruiserweights, are they still on Raw?
Yes.
Okay, so
they still wrestle on Raw, but they also get their own show on 205 Live.
Jeez.
So they still don't really...
So that means that the Cruiserweights have to be at Raw on Monday and at SmackDown on Tuesday?
Yeah.
God, the travel.
I don't think they're that far apart, are they? Both shows?
Sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. Just kind of sucks.
Yeah. But I mean, like, hey, you're doing a dream job, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they get paid any extra, but...
No. This match had a lot of them like countering each other's stuff.
Yeah. It was a good match.
Kalisto counters the sliced bread.
Crowd wasn't
Kendrick
into it.
counters the Salida del Sol. No, crowd wasn't really into this.
Fucking, I just feel bad for the Cruiserweights. Like, the Cruiserweight Classic was awesome. Mm-hmm. And then Raw just proceeds to... I'm saying Raw like Raw's a person. So I can't even blame... Like, you want to blame, like, Stephanie or something, but it's not her fault, right?
No.
There's a whole... Raw fucking kind of shit the bed on the Cruiserweights, if you ask me.
Now, Kalisto does not win this match.
Nope.
And why is that?
Because fucking our Lord and Savior fucking Baron Corbin comes busted ass into the ring, hits Kalisto with an end of days, and causes the disqualification. So Brian Kendrick, champion's advantage, retains the title.
Yeah.
Kalisto wins technically, but because he gets attacked, right?
Yeah, the results... I think the results say that Kendrick wins. I don't know why.
Right. Well, anyway, Baron Corbin continuing his... Which is fine because, hey, look, advancing storylines, I'm cool with it, right?
Yeah.
Baron Corbin has a bone to pick with Kalisto because Baron Corbin was supposed to be in the multi-man match for the men's.
Yeah.
And I think it was on the Go Home episode of SmackDown. Baron Corbin was like wrestling with Kalisto and he beat him up. And then he was getting out of the ring and he kind of like stepped off the ring wrong and was selling a knee injury. And Kalisto saw this and just like attacked Baron Corbin as like payback, right?
Wow.
Like, yeah, so like Baron Corbin's like
fight in him, Kalisto.
So like Baron Corbin like slips off the ring and he's like, my knee, and then Kalisto like drop kicks him into the steel steps and then does like a frog splash onto his knee when he's in the ring. Right. So that's why Baron Corbin wasn't cleared to wrestle for the men's match.
But that's in storyline.
Been storyline. He wasn't actually injured. It was just used to progress the storyline.
Yeah.
So then storyline, actually, Kalisto had hit the Salida del Sol, I think, on Kendrick, and then Baron Corbin came out, attacked Kalisto, continuing that storyline, which I'm fine with, because the match they put on at TLC was fucking great.
Yeah.
I was so happy with it. So this feud I thought was okay, but the ender of it, the finale of it was really good. And again, I like Corbin, so give me more.
As he's walking backstage, Daniel Bryan comes up to him incensed.
Yeah, this is good too.
You didn't just cost that match for Kalisto, you cost SmackDown having the cruiserweights.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And Corbin's just like, moo.
Well, Corbin says, he refers to Kalisto as a pest that won't go away. And is like, when we don't need more little pests running around SmackDown.
Yeah.
And Bryan says he'll deal with Corbin on Tuesday.
Yeah. Look at SmackDown was the only place advancing any storylines.
So, because Corbin is now off the men's match Team SmackDown, the men's match being next.
Yeah.
Obviously, Corbin has to be replaced, so you replace him with Kalisto.
Apollo Crews,
obviously.
right? Or Apollo Crews
Yeah.
they could have put in there and given him a chance to shine.
Or Jack Swagger.
Jack Swagger, yeah. Nope.
No, Daniel Bryan picks
Fuck.
Shane McMahon.
I was so fucking mad when that happened.
That is weird.
Yeah.
I love Shane. I like seeing Shane wrestle. But that doesn't make sense, Brian.
When you have
You want to win, right?
Yeah. I shouldn't say I was mad, because I wasn't actually mad. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Why? Yeah.
So, yeah. Team Raw for this match
Yeah.
is Braun Strowman,
Yeah.
Smart Move, Stephen Foley,
Yeah.
Seth Rollins,
Yeah.
Roman Reigns,
Yep.
Chris Jericho,
Yeah.
and Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Versus Shane McMahon. Now we have two things to fill you in on here. Introduced as a pair, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Now, why are Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton introduced as a pair? Well, when last we spoke about SmackDown was No Mercy. And in the main event of No Mercy, Luke Harper returned after a Wyatt...
Yeah. What do we need a word for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like Wyatt.
I guess it's a sting, but yeah. And Luke Harper returned. Awesome.
Yeah.
And Bray stood tall at the end of No Mercy. And in the main event, not the championship match, which was first because of the debate, but the main event of No Mercy.
Yeah.
And then you had Kane and Randy Orton. This is on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Versus Bray and Luke Harper. Because again, Eric Rowan's out injured, so versus the Wyatts. And there's a bit in that match where Kane's in the corner waiting to tag in. Randy's crawling towards the corner for the tag. And there's a... And when the lights come back up, Luke Harper is in the corner being like... Tag me in, he's like, tag me in, Randy. I mean, he doesn't talk, but he's like, I'm right here. And the announcers are like, where is Kane? What happened to Kane? And then Randy is super confused. Bray hits him with the Sister Abigail and wins that match. And they're like, he won the match. That's amazing. Good job. And I think it's JBL is like, no, seriously, where is Kane?
What happened to Kane? Kane was standing right there in that corner.
He's not small.
I don't think we haven't seen Kane since then either.
How do you lose Kane?
Kane just he's on a milk carton somewhere.
So, was that the pre-show? Actually, that was the pre-show for this show, right? Was Kane versus Luke Harper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, never mind. That's when we saw Kane again.
So anyway.
Fuck.
So
kind of ruined it there, didn't I? All right.
This continues the deconstruction of Randy Orton by Bray Wyatt.
Yeah. See, this is what should have happened to John Cena.
Yeah. And then what happens? Randy Orton
joins the
Wyatt family.
It's more like a if you can't beat them, join them kind of mentality.
Well, kind of, but there's this awful visual effect. So there's a backstage scene.
Would you rather have the what we talked about last time?
Not the twirl filter. No,
twirl filter.
There's this bit backstage where they're in Bray's weird dark room.
Yeah.
And Randy talks about deciding to join Bray, basically. And then his eyes glow.
Yeah.
And it's like...
I don't care. I love it, man. I love all this shitty, stupid, cheesy shit in wrestling.
The filter is bad and lame.
Yeah.
But what that means is, though I'm sure they will renege on this at some point, what that means is this isn't just Randy being like, well, I'll just infiltrate them and
destroy them from the inside.
Yeah.
Like Daniel Bryan did it a couple years ago.
The fact there's some sort of mystical effect says storyline should say that he's legit taken in
Do you think it's Sister Abigail?
the thrall of Bray Wyatt, you know?
Yeah, maybe it's Sister Abigail.
Yeah.
Like I think we talked about it last time on the lead up to No Mercy, but Sister Abigail is like this spirit that some people say. Some people think it's Bray's sister,
like actual sister,
or
maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, basically, finally, Bray has managed to
mind control somebody,
to turn someone, to actually recruit a new member of the roster into the Wyatt family, and it's Randy fucking Orton.
He's like, "Two blue, take control of Randy Orton."
Yeah. And so now Randy, who hasn't spoken since then, he doesn't talk anymore.
Oh fuck, he hasn't. Yeah.
He comes out to the ring with Bray Wyatt. He's got like a hood. He's got like a vest with a hood. He comes out and he and Luke Harper are now Bray's enforcers, and that's so cool.
It's the best storyline in the company.
Yeah, and that is what should have happened with John Cena all those years ago, and what should have happened with the fucking Undertaker and Kane at various points. And
remember when Bray stole Undertaker's powers?
Yeah.
That was fucking cool.
That was sweet. What happened with that? Oh, right.
Undertaker came back and just demolished the Wyatt family.
So
even though Bray could shoot lightning.
So Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. Awesome.
It's great.
Also on Team SmackDown.
I'm going to be really sad when Randy just attacks Bray.
Yeah. Also on Team SmackDown.
Yeah.
The World Championship, AJ Styles, and Dean Ambrose with the Team SmackDown mascot.
Right, I forgot all about
the Team SmackDown mascot, James Ellsworth. Now, who is James Ellsworth? Come with us on this journey back
Do you remember?
Back to July.
Yeah, we covered AJ Styles. We showed the clip on the show of AJ Styles walking in the backstage, and one of them's on the phone. Yeah. And he grabs the phone from him, throws it against the wall. That's James Ellsworth.
Is it really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because I said one of them looks really weird.
Huh. I don't remember that.
I'm pretty sure.
But, so, come back to July.
Yeah.
The first episode of the new era of Raw.
Yeah.
And Braun Strowman has a squash match.
Yeah.
The first of his many, many squash matches with the jobbers.
This is after the brand. I think this is after that squash match. So you're going farther back than I did.
Well, I'm just...
Ellsworth got squashed by Braun?
James Ellsworth was Braun Strowman's first squash match.
Was he? Fuck. Okay.
This is where this guy came from.
This is farther back than what I thought.
Yeah. Okay. No. This is where this is why he became like. This is why the crowd got behind him, because he's the first guy that like Byron's in the ring and be like, why are you fighting Braun Strowman? And he's like, well, I just think that any man with two hands can win a wrestling match, right? Yeah. That's why people were like, that guy. Also, he's got no chin, so Vince thinks he looks funny, and
he does kind of look.
He does, right? But it's like, okay, right? So they did that squash match, and everyone was like, man, that guy's great.
Yeah.
Then he showed up on SmackDown like a month or two later in like as someone's tag. It was like AJ's tag team partner or something, or like they were like, you get this guy. And it's like,
because he was fighting Dean and somebody else.
Yeah, and it's like Dean and like
I think it was Randy Orton.
Yeah, and it's like, wait, that's the guy that Braun Strowman beat the crap out of a couple months ago. What's he doing here? That's weird. And so then on the Raw or the SmackDown after No Mercy, he shows up again because AJ comes out and he's like, well, I defended the title. I'm the face that runs the place.
Yeah.
John Cena can suck it. Dean Ambrose can suck it. And you're all going to see me put on a clinic tonight when I face...
this guy.
Yeah,
when I put my title on the line against...
No, he doesn't say title on the line.
He doesn't say
But he's like,
title
you're going to see me, wrestle at my greatest against this opponent. And then Dean's music hits, and he's like, what? And Dean Ambrose is like, yeah, you weren't expecting me, were you? I just can't wait to see who you think you're gonna fight, but go for it. I'll just stand here. And then James Ellsworth comes out, and everyone's like, James Ellsworth? That's the guy from before.
Yeah.
What? And he just sort of comes out and he's like, hey, everybody, I'm James Ellsworth. And AJ's like, yeah, you can fight me, non-title, of course, tonight. And Ellsworth's like, oh, yeah, no, that's great, thank you. And he's like, yeah, no, you're welcome, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And Ambrose is like, oh, this I got to see.
Yeah.
I'll wait out here. And AJ says, no, you don't get to be out here. Go away. And so Daniel Bryan comes out and says, yeah, Dean, you're not going to watch from ringside. You're going to be the guest referee. And you get this this was such a fun match.
Yeah, when like
So it's AJ Styles versus James Ellsworth, who obviously, like, who they are putting forward as a guy who should not be in the ring, certainly not with AJ Styles.
Yeah.
And the only reason that the match...
like the term out of his league is not even like remotely logical to say. Like there needs to be a new phrase to come up.
But because Dean is the referee...
Yeah.
This match doesn't end immediately, and so he puts a pin on Ellsworth or puts him in a submission, and then Dean's like 1, 2, oh what? Hang on, I got a phone call. Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And starts walking around the ring. And he's like, oh okay, yeah, no, sorry about that. What's going on? And then he miscounts. He forgets about the thing. Like they're outside the ring and they're fighting, and then Dean's like, oh right, I got to do the count. And he like jumps back in the ring. And he's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and AJ's like good, what you good? And he like runs back in the ring. Like what's with the fast counting?
Yeah.
And then eventually he's like 1, 2, and then just stares at him.
Yeah.
And then gives AJ a dirty deeds.
Yeah.
Drags Ellsworth on top of AJ because Ellsworth is out from a Styles clash, like gone.
Demolished
From a Styles clash, drags him on top of AJ and counts 1, 2, 3. And so James Ellsworth, in the books, has a victory
over AJ Styles. Yeah.
So this whole feud is basically AJ and Dean feuding with Ellsworth as this sort of like pawn proxy that they're just messing with, and it's been really fun.
It's been fun. I am tired of it now. Like I'm at the point now where I'm like,
that's fair.
Yeah, because it's still going. Like as of watching Survivor Series, I was like, I'm ready for Ellsworth to be not involved with AJ. But yeah, at this time, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Like the viewing of this was like, oh my god, this is great because AJ plays off him so well. Yeah. AJ is so great.
My favorite part, I can't remember which of these matches it was because this sort of kept going for a while. They actually had a title match.
Yeah.
They had James Ellsworth challenged AJ Styles for the title on SmackDown, and AJ goes to put him in a headlock, puts him in a chin lock, and just goes whoop. And just pulls right off his head because he doesn't have a chin to lock onto. And Ellsworth like stands up and looks embarrassed. No, not embarrassed, apologetic. He's like, I'm sorry, but I just like he's not saying anything, but he's like, I'm sorry, I have no chin. I'm sorry, man. That's on me. Like when he's fighting AJ Styles, right?
For the title.
And he's like, geez, man.
Sorry.
Oh, that's embarrassing. I'm sorry about that. I made you look bad. That's rough. You know,
because like. In the lead up, even past Survivor Series and 2 TLC, James Ellsworth ends up 3-0 against AJ Styles.
Like obviously the bit's gonna run its course.
Yeah.
But I'm still enjoying it because like he's a really good sport and he's doing it perfectly. He's playing his role in this so well. And AJ and Dean are just killing it.
Yeah.
They're playing off of each other and him so well.
Yeah.
And I'm very entertained by this whole thing.
I definitely agree. And I think that even one of the best moments I think was when SmackDown invaded Raw.
Yeah. So
and then
the go home for
Raw.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon were invited to the show to like, hey, we're gonna hype this match and stuff, and then Team Raw is in the ring, and Shane and Daniel Bryan are in the ring, and they're like, yo, well, we're gonna show you guys what Raw is all about, and Daniel Bryan's like, do you guys really think we came here alone? And then like all SmackDown came through the crowd, and it was a super cool moment, but the best moment is when Chris Jericho met Ellsworth. And he's just like, what the hell is that thing? And everyone like kind of parts, and there's James Ellsworth standing there. It's pretty good. Yeah.
So earlier in this pay-per-view, backstage, Ellsworth is talking to, I think, Brian or Shane or someone, and he's like, this is going to be great. We're going to do great, you guys.
Oh, yeah. No, he's talking to Foley.
Yeah.
No, he runs into the club.
Right.
And then Foley comes in.
Club.
Yeah.
Right.
Foley and then the club are making fun of him.
A bunch of chin jokes.
Yeah. It's actually really good.
Keep your chin up. Make sure you're chin it to win it. And then he runs into Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
And Strowman's like, you look familiar. Do I know you from somewhere? And Ellsworth is just like, shit. just takes off.
Yeah.
I do like that even though he's like the most recognizable of Strowman's jobbers, that Strowman doesn't care enough to remember him.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you seem familiar. And he just leaves.
It's definitely nice. It's a breath of fresh air to have something that's like legitimately funny.
Yeah.
You know, like in this feud.
And it's actually like...
It's made the feud better.
Yeah, and it's not like a comedy feud. Like AJ and Dean are still seriously feuding, but it's fun. It's lighthearted.
Yeah.
It's been really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. It's like... Because AJ's supposed to be the heel, even though he gets cheered, right?
Yeah.
And it's been a vehicle to use to kind of embarrass AJ. Because he's lost multiple times to this skinny little... Like with Dean's interference, right?
Yeah.
But it's done in a way that doesn't make us think any less of AJ as like a champion.
Yeah.
It's just... It's been brilliant. It has. Like there's no other way to describe it.
Yeah.
I think it's starting to run its course now, but I think that's
fine.
At the time, like, I definitely agree. Like, watching it, and I was just like, oh my God, this is genius.
Yeah.
Like, they've taken this guy. And again, some people will argue, like, well, there could be... Why isn't that someone else's spot in the main event? It wouldn't work with anybody else.
It wouldn't work with someone else's spot.
Yeah. If you injected a third person to this feud with Dean and AJ, it wouldn't be as good. Like if you just threw Baron Corbin in there.
It would be awful for that whoever that was, because they wouldn't be able to do the like just be a complete dud like Ellsworth.
Yeah.
And by the way, you know, outside of the storyline, good fucking on him.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. Take the money and run.
Yeah.
Fucking rights, dude. If someone, like, you can't, I hate it when people are like, oh, he's ruining it. It's like, are you telling me that if WWE was like, here's a contract, you'd be like, the integrity of the storyline would probably suffer.
No, I would feel bad taking someone else's spot.
Yeah, I'd be like, no, gimme. Yeah, do I get a t-shirt? Yeah, fuck yeah. Just like, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that, you know,
he's probably wrestling on the independents for like nothing.
He has been. This is one of the guys that like a lot of us just loves wrestling.
Yeah.
And he's one of the people who, you know, more so than we do, loves it enough to make it his hobby.
Yeah.
Right? And guaranteed he doesn't get paid enough by the indie work that he has done.
No.
And then, you know, to be like, look, I look weird and I'm going to lean into it and be self-effacing, and also to, in just a few lines on Raw, be able to connect, because that was his line, right? And apparently Vince really liked it. The like, any man with two hands can wrestle, and I just think I got a fighting chance, you know? And to do that, and then to get it to this point, he actually has a contract now.
Yeah.
He's actually
he's
under
contracted.
WWE contract now.
Good for
he
you.
He stopped taking indie dates, and it's like...
Oh, that's good.
It's like, holy shit, man, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, sure, the joke or the bit will run its course eventually, and I'm sure that, you know, he won't be actually employed there for like more than a couple years, but that's so cool.
Yeah.
You know? Like, his character is like, I can't believe I get a shot against AJ Styles.
But he's probably really I can't believe I get a shot against AJ Styles. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm...
Yeah, if somebody came to me and be like, hey, we're going to give you a bit part on SmackDown, you get to have a match against AJ Styles, I'd be like, done, deal, I'm doing it. I don't care how stupid I look. I am in the ring with AJ Styles.
I am already hard. Give me a few minutes to...
I need to calm down. Do I have to wear spandex?
How baggy can I wear my tights? Okay, this match. This was entertaining.
This match was entertaining. I still didn't really like it. Like, I liked parts of it as a whole. I felt like it was too long. It felt like a bit of a clusterfuck.
Yeah, I mean, these matches always kind of feel like a clusterfuck.
But then again, when I watched it, I was probably I was in a little bit of a bad mood, right? So I was just watching this and I was like,
holy
fuck,
hell.
what? It was an hour long.
It was 52 minutes, almost 53 minutes.
It was almost an hour.
I didn't realize how long it was.
Yeah, that's why. I was like, when I was watching it, the fact that it was an hour was very apparent to me. And I don't know if that was just like...
Well, I was like looking at my watch and being like, there's a lot of this pay-per-view left to go. And then that match happened and I'm like, oh.
But this was the best match of the night. I realized that my reaction to it on Twitter was like way too negative for what it was. You know what I mean? Like, I realized that. It was a knee-jerk reaction to what I just watched.
Right. Which is fine.
Which is fine, but I just like, I hate doing, like, I dislike doing stuff like that. Just like, I just reacting to something, right? Rather than just like watching it and being like, all right, well, how did I
mean,
feel
everyone
about
does that, right? And very few because why would most people, we only care about this because we do a podcast about it, but most people would be like, I hated that match. And then later they'd be like, I don't remember that match very well, but I just remember I hated it. Whereas we're like, why did I hate that match? And
Yeah.
just sort of go back
there's
to
factors. I mean, like, not to go too deep, but I've been like doing therapy for like 5 years, and that's been one of the big things. Is like, rather than just reacting to something emotionally, being able to stop and be like, okay, well, why do I feel like this? And I can use it too. And even when I'm doing hobbies like that I like when I watch wrestling, I'm like, okay, why didn't you like that? And I was like, well, I was tired and a little bit hungry, and I was just probably just like upset about something. So I actually didn't hate the match. The match was fun.
Yeah.
I just like stories, Graham, and
I know.
especially leading up to this, there was nothing really.
No.
Well, that's why I was just like, fuck.
We talk about stories. This is what bugs me. Is we briefly mentioned this earlier. You mentioned the name of the Spectre, the Undertaker. Undertaker showed up on the Go Home SmackDown. And said, "I'm back here for good." I don't believe he's been seen since.
Nope.
And he basically threatened the SmackDown team.
Which was pretty sweet.
That they had to win this for SmackDown. Because SmackDown was always Taker's show. Right? And it's like, or at least this the show that when the brand split was up before, it was the one that he was on. He sort of held down SmackDown. And so he basically threatened the team. Over on Raw, Steph, in as many words, threatened the jobs, right? It's like, you have to go into Survivor Series and fight the SmackDown people like your job depends on it, because it does. Well, we sort of alluded to it earlier. SmackDown wins this match, and nothing came of that threat.
Nothing. Zero. Like, nobody lost their job. Sami Zayn got punished. But that's it.
Nothing came of. I mean, like, SmackDown won it. The women in the tag teams didn't. Taker obviously didn't care about that. But like, Taker hasn't been seen again on SmackDown. Nothing happened to the team on Raw. Like, Steph wasn't like, you. And it's sort of like...
Well, Taker's kind of like Candyman, right? If you say his name three times in a mirror.
It's just like, there was no ongoing fallout from this.
The worst is when they make a threat and they don't follow through with the consequences. We should be used to it.
Should be.
We should be.
They do it all the time.
But it's still annoying when we see it happen.
So who's the first person to get eliminated in this match?
Fuck.
Dean.
Oh, right, Dean is, because AJ attacks him. And then Braun Strowman just manhandles him.
Strowman's just like,
No, Strowman's doing the running power slam like Davey Boy Smith.
Right,
the British Bulldog.
Slam, right.
He uses the...
So, people fight around, Strowman gets tagged in, then all of Team SmackDown is like, ooh, big guy. They all come in, and then all of Raw comes in, there's like a massive melee, and then it eventually clears, and...
Kevin Owens does like a top rope cannonball thing to the
Ambrose
outside.
and AJ attack Strowman, and McMahon, Shane, gets him over the top rope with a clothesline. After being attacked by two other people. But then, they... Styles and AJ are the last two in the ring. And they're...
Styles and Ambrose.
Sorry, Styles and Ambrose. Styles and AJ. Styles and Ambrose are the last two in the ring, and they have a match in 2 weeks from that point at TLC. So they start fighting, and then, Strowman eliminates Ambrose. So they get Strowman out of the ring.
And onto the Spanish announce table?
They drop kick him out of the ring. They take the monitors off the table.
It's
they
the
get
Spanish
him on the
or the
table.
German? I think it's the German announce table, because there's 3 out there.
Because Strowman takes Strowman takes the monitors off. Orton sneaks up and gives him an RKO. And then they clear another commentary table and put Strowman on top of that. Shane gets up on the turnbuckle and does a huge top rope diving elbow. They call it the leap of faith, the elbow. Puts Strowman through the table. And Rollins and Reigns take out Orton and Wyatt. And there's like a "This is awesome" chant. And so they... Styles helps Shane back up and get in the ring before they get counted out. Strowman gets up and is about to get in the ring before he gets counted out.
This was pretty sweet.
This was great. Gets in the ring and is like, can't pull himself up. and gets
And I was
counted
like,
out.
when it happened, I was like, what the
Yeah, it's
fuck
like-
is he doing?
Like, why can't he lift his leg? And the camera
thought he
pans
was-
down.
when it happened, I thought he was selling like he was tired or something. And
Yeah,
he like
because you
couldn't
see him
get
just
up.
sort of like grab the ropes and go like, eh. And you're like, what the hell? And the camera pans down, and James Ellsworth is hiding under the ring apron and has reached out and put his arms around Strowman's leg so he can't lift his foot.
Yeah, it's
which
pretty
was
great.
just long enough to get him counted out.
That was a really great moment. I
So
really liked it.
Ellsworth comes out and runs the hell away.
Yeah.
And yes, Strowman catches him at the top of the ramp.
Yeah.
And because he trips, and then picks him up and chucks him through a table.
Yeah. There are pizza boxes on the table, which I thought that was funny for some reason.
I guess it was like where the techs were having food.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, there goes Braun. That's the way to eliminate Braun Strowman without like having him eat a pin, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you know that Braun Strowman has only been covered for a pin once?
Wow.
Yeah.
By who?
Jericho.
Really?
Braun Strowman was on Chris Jericho's podcast with Jericho and the Club.
Okay.
And if you've listened to the Club and Jericho
Right.
on the podcast, they just drink and they talk. It's an awful podcast experience because they're talking over each other and they're just yelling and screaming. But it's kind of funny. They do say
Right.
some funny stuff. But Braun said like, "Hey, yeah, I've only been covered once," and that was when Jericho teamed up with Reigns and Ambrose. Remember when they fought the Wyatts and Jericho was their secret partner?
Right.
Yeah, that was the only time Strowman's even been covered
Right.
in a match.
So
Ever. Ever. Not even like NXT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
So that's the wild card of Strowman out of the picture.
Yeah.
So now everyone else is fighting in the ring. And because there was a bit earlier, by the way, that I really liked with. Actually, I can't believe I forgot to mention this because I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we talk about the long-term storyline. Strowman comes in the ring and he's about to attack.
Oh, yeah.
He's like making a beeline for the SmackDown person, and then Bray Wyatt comes up and gets in his face and is like, "Hey,
Yeah. They stop. Like,
remember me?" And Strowman's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
And Strowman, like, somewhere in his brain, he's like remembering being under Wyatt's control.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh yeah," and he turns and grabs, who is it from the Raw team?
Jericho, I think.
Jericho.
Yeah. Because Jericho's like, "I'm the captain, you stupid idiot. Like,
Yeah.
you listen to me."
Right, because Jericho runs up and he's like, "Hit him, punch him, grab him, do the thing."
Yeah.
And then Strowman's like, goes and grabs him, and then also grabs Bray.
Yeah.
And then does the
That's
choke
pretty
slam. But
great.
just that moment of Strowman being like, "Huh, this guy," when he gets right in his face, that was really, really cool.
Yeah. The crowd's reaction to it was great. too.
Yeah. Owens, the crowd wants the Wyatts to work. The crowd wants this
Yeah.
to be a thing.
Yeah.
Right? When there was that stare down before Mania where Wyatt got in the ring with Triple H and just stared at him.
That was
and
at the
then-
Royal Rumble.
Right, and then
Yeah.
caressed the title.
Oh yeah, that at the Royal Rumble though the Royal Rumble was the first time they like
Yeah,
faced
that was
off.
cool. But
Yeah.
then
when he
before
was
Mania,
like
when he,
caressing the
caressed
title, yeah.
the crowd was huge for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next person to get eliminated is actually Kevin Owens.
Oh, P.S. Canada hates Roman Reigns, by the way.
Well, like you said, they're kind of smarky.
Yeah. God damn. I don't think I heard a cheer for him.
So this is what we mentioned this earlier when we were like, yeah, Canada's so such a great crowd.
Yeah.
And they always do this. King was bad for it. King did it a lot, but JBL's also pretty bad for it.
Mm-hmm.
Canada is really smarky, like we said, and don't like Roman Reigns for all the reasons that we've listed exhaustively on this podcast. And so the crowd was booing Reigns. And so on commentary, they're like, "Man, Canada's so weird." This bizarro world of Canada where everything's topsy-turvy. It's like, no, man. We cheer all the other people and boo all the other people. We just don't like the way that you're handling Roman Reigns. But sure.
Just
We're say
weird.
that Canada's fucking strange.
Canada's weird.
We're all hopped up on Tim's latte. And yeah, it's our fault.
Yeah.
You close-minded fuckers.
Yeah.
I hate that. It's always Bizarro World in Canada because we
boo who they think we should be cheering. And we cheer
they like to boo and boo. They like to cheer.
Oh, I love crowds like that. Wasn't that after WrestleMania?
After WrestleMania as well.
I love crowds like this.
Post WrestleMania crowd, so weird.
They cheer who they usually boo, and they boo who they usually cheer.
No, just Roman actually.
No.
It's just, if you look at the show as a whole, JBL, it's just Roman.
Don't you tell me how to live, JBL. Anyway.
Yeah, so Kevin Owens gets eliminated by disqualification.
Yeah, because he used this. Actually, to be fair, this was a vehicle to progress this storyline. We shouldn't say like Raw didn't progress any storylines, because the best friend storyline was Owens saving Jericho from the sharpshooter.
Styles
Clash. Yeah, he was in the style. He was going to be put in this. He was hanging upside down for the Styles Clash.
And then Styles gets him in an inside cradle and. He punches at Jericho a bunch.
Yeah.
And then Owens comes in and hits Styles with the list.
And that causes... So Owens gets eliminated.
Yeah.
Crowd's not happy. But Jericho is like, oh my God, my list is spread everywhere. And he like gathers it up and he's like, who did this? Because he didn't see what happened with it. And he's like, who did this? And he turns around into an RKO.
Yeah.
So Jericho gets eliminated.
So it's 4-on-2 now.
Yes.
So the only people left on Team Raw are Rollins and Reigns.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck. They're going to eliminate Rollins and then Reigns is going to beat all four. I thought that's what...
I did have that moment of fear.
There's like, you know that in the pit of your stomach? You're just like, fuck, they're going to do it.
Yeah. As it happens, the next person to get eliminated is Shane.
Oh, God. Yeah, this is so scary.
He does some punches to Roman, sets Roman up in the corner, and Shane does
the coast
to coast, leaping from the one corner to the other to land on Reigns, but he doesn't get there because Reigns gets up and spears him out of the air.
Oh, and just like...
Which was great until they hit the mat and Shane's head just bounced off the mat.
Even when they connected, though, it looked like the top of Roman's head just like clipped his chin.
It looked bad, yeah.
It just looked bad, the whole thing. It looked like it hurt. Shane was obviously hurt.
Apparently that was going to be when Shane got eliminated anyway, but as it happens, the whole match, like, stopped.
Yeah.
And, like, medics came out.
Because, like, the ref was counting, and then the ref stopped counting because Shane's shoulder was up, which they're told they're supposed to call it, like, kayfabe, right? And it was just, like, got weird, and then they were like, oh, Shane's hurt? Because the ref was like, Shane? And it was like, oh, Shane's been eliminated.
Yeah.
And I just like, I've heard he's okay, but like his kids were at ringside and shit. Just like,
apparently, because I mentioned that Randy hasn't spoken since being taken over by Bray.
Shane's kids,
apparently, because word came through by like the refs or whatever, and Randy at one point when he wasn't tagged in, like went over to like the ring apron to Shane's kids and was like, hey, by the way, your dad's okay. Don't worry about it. And then continued, which was nice.
Because God, when it happened, we've had some scary moments this year.
Reigns, by the way, suffered zero ill effects from any of this. Like, I don't mean, like, obviously he wasn't, like, Shane was actually hurt. I think he got, like, a mild concussion or something. Shane was legit hurt by this.
Yeah.
Reigns wasn't even storyline hurt. Reigns was like, I'm fine now.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm up. So Shane gets eliminated, and then Ambrose comes back out to attack AJ Styles.
Yeah.
And then he's attacking AJ, and a bunch of refs come out.
Yeah.
To like to get Ambrose out of there because he's not in the match, and then everyone was really excited about this, and I just didn't care. And so Rollins and Reigns help Ambrose break out from this swarm of refs,
so they can beat up AJ.
Because
Ambrose wants to beat AJ because they have a match in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And Rollins and Reigns want to beat AJ because they're on Team Raw, and so we get a little mini
Shield reunion.
I popped a little bit.
Did you?
I thought it was kind of cool. Because they did their whole triple powerbomb thing where they like Rollins and Ambrose set them up.
Like I would be like if this was like.
It didn't make sense for why they were friends.
Yeah, but I just mean like if this had happened 2 years from now.
Yeah. That'd be huge, yeah.
But it's just like just before the brand split, we watched all three of them wrestle in a triple threat.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it was too, for me, it was just like, and even then, like the Shield stuff that I watched, I was like, I liked them. Mm-hmm. I wasn't like over the moon for the Shield though.
Yeah.
I actually like all three way more separate.
Yeah.
Even Reigns. As much as I slag on Reigns, he's improved immensely from when we first started covering the show, and even like before when Reigns first started getting his push.
Yeah.
But I think all three are better as individuals.
So AJ Styles gets eliminated.
Yeah.
So now it's 2-on-2 because Dean doesn't care anymore. He's like, well, I made my statement against AJ. I don't need to help Reigns and Rollins anymore because I don't want Team Raw to win. I just didn't want AJ to win.
Yeah.
So it's 2-on-2. Or is it because Luke Harper comes out of the crowd and jumps up on the ring apron? So now it's the Wyatt family versus Reigns and Rollins.
Yeah.
Which is like I said, like I popped a little bit for the Shield. I popped even more when I was like, ooh, Luke Harper's back.
Which is like kind of like, wouldn't they be scared of getting disqualified? I guess the Wyatt family doesn't care.
They've never cared before.
Yeah,
no.
That's true.
Yeah, with Luke there was a distraction, and with the Wyatt family, pretty quickly Seth gets eliminated.
Yeah, he goes for a frog splash on Bray, and Randy catches him in an RKO, and it's awesome.
Yup.
And then lets Bray, and this is important, lets Bray pin Rollins. I felt like it was like, he's like sacrificing, like he's like offering up Rollins to Bray.
And so
now, this is where I started getting worried.
Yeah, because
now
it's Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns.
And Roman starts beating the shit out of both of them.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God, they're not going to do this. They're not going to do this.
Because, like, Wyatt, at one point near the end, Wyatt goes for Sister Abigail, and Reigns fights out of it and hits him with a Superman punch. Yeah. And then sets up for the spear as well.
But
Randy Orton's there to intercept it.
Yeah, so Reigns goes to spear Bray Wyatt, and Randy shoves Bray out of the way and eats the spear for Bray, which lets Bray immediately grab Reigns and put him in Sister Abigail. 1, 2, 3. The fucking Wyatt family wins?
Yeah.
Holy shit. I was so happy. That was one of the best moments of the year.
It was a really good win.
Randy Orton pushing Bray out of the way to eat a spear.
Eat a spear from Reigns.
Oh, fucking.
Like,
sometimes the writing staff gets it.
Yeah, like that.
Or
that's
the bookers or agents or whoever.
Orton is in it.
Yeah.
Right? That was super cool.
It seems like they're all having a lot of fun doing it too, right?
Yeah. And now.
Oh, fuck, I forgot.
The main event. So, okay. Can you give a brief, like real brief, who the hell is Goldberg?
Goldberg? Okay, so Goldberg was a wrestler in the late 90s in WCW. And this was like he started wrestling right when WCW was like still like super relevant. Mm-hmm. They were still doing well in the ratings, and they were even beating the WWF at the time at certain weeks. And Goldberg was a wrestler. His gimmick was that he was undefeated. Yeah. He went on a streak of like, it went up to like, they said like 108 or some shit like that, but it probably wasn't that much. And he won the US title originally from Raven. And then what a lot of people call one of the biggest mistakes in wrestling was putting Goldberg in a world title match against Hollywood Hogan on free TV. They were in Atlanta, Georgia, which is Goldberg's home state. I don't know if it's hometown, but it's his home state. And they gave away a world title match of that caliber against a guy who was undefeated against one of the biggest stars in the business for free on Monday Nitro. And I think that was the last night that WCW beat Raw in the ratings. That night. And then every week after that was WWF was just smashing them.
Yeah.
So Goldberg he was cool. Like when I watched, like when Goldberg was around when I was watching, I was like in high school, and I thought like Goldberg was all right. I was never big on like the guys who were just like all big and unstoppable and like could beat everybody easily. Because like at that time, WCW still had like Jericho and Raven, and I think they still had Jericho.
I mean, he was a Superman character, right? Like he was undefeated, right?
Yeah.
Every match, by the way, in that streak is listed on his Wikipedia entry.
Really?
Yeah, and it's 155.
Jesus.
Every
match is 150. Wow.
Do you know who the one in 155 and 1 is?
Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash.
Yeah, Kevin Nash beat him at Starrcade. Yeah, okay, I was going to say Halloween Havoc, but
Starrcade
no.
98.
Actually, DDP had a really good match at Halloween Havoc with Goldberg for the world title. That was part of the streak. Yeah,
those earlier
Scott Hall
year,
hit Goldberg with a taser.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what it took.
Yeah, and then Kevin Nash powerbombed Goldberg and beat him.
So yeah, it was 155. This is between September 97 and when Starrcade?
It's like in December.
December.
Yeah.
Between September 97 and December 98. So like 13 months.
Yeah.
155 matches. And he won all of them.
Jesus.
Or the ones that were, there was a couple that were no contest, but that doesn't count as a win or a loss. So, yeah, he was a superhero, right? He's this undefeated monster who was, like he said in his return promo, like there's someone that the kids looked up to because he was this, larger than life figure.
I didn't look up to him.
He was all, huh?
I didn't look up to him.
So he was always very, very popular. And then when WWF bought WCW, when the Monday Night Wars were over, Goldberg was one of the talents that was still under contract to Turner.
Yeah.
Not part. They didn't get Goldberg's contract as part of the WCW thing.
Yeah.
So Goldberg was under contract, guaranteed money, and didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, that was the big thing in WCW. Was a lot of guaranteed money.
Yeah.
That's probably why they're not around anymore.
And so he didn't come with them. Some of the biggest stars in WCW didn't come as part of that package.
Yeah.
And so he didn't show up. Many, many years later, he did.
I didn't see any of this.
Eventually show up.
Yeah.
And it culminated in this match between Goldberg and Brock Lesnar.
Bork Laser. There was a Bork Laser sign in that crowd at Survivor Series. Bork Laser.
At which WrestleMania?
WrestleMania 21.
WrestleMania 21.
Yeah.
And
I've never watched it, but I've heard it's awful.
so what's interesting about this is, it's Brock Lesnar versus Bill Goldberg, with Steve Austin as special guest referee. And what's interesting about this is just around the time when wrestling fans were getting really internet savvy with like behind the scenes news.
Yeah.
Right? And so the problem is, WrestleMania, you got all your biggest fans, your most well-informed fans about stuff like this. Everyone in the arena knew that Goldberg's contract was up and he was not renewing it.
Weren't both of them leaving?
And that Brock Lesnar was leaving the company to pursue a career in football, I think.
No, I think wasn't this the MMA jump, or was this him trying out for the Vikings again?
I think this was football, but he never came back until he went to MMA. And anyway, so everyone knew that both these guys were leaving. And this was WrestleMania, and there was this feeling of like, you guys don't care.
Yeah.
Right? There was this big feeling of like, why should we care if you don't? This match is meaningless, so, boo, right? So people booed them. And so they just stared at each other. They just stood in the middle of the ring and stared each other down and sort of looked at the crowd and stared at each other and looked at the crowd, and then they exchanged some blows, and it was just a short, shitty match.
How long was it? I've never watched it. I should.
I don't know. It wasn't great.
I've heard it's bad. A lot of people have said it from multiple sources.
WrestleMania 20, actually.
Oh, it was 20?
WrestleMania XX.
Shit. Wasn't 20 the same year that...
It was 13 minutes, and it was miserable.
A miserable 13 minutes is a fucking lifetime.
Yeah, and I remember watching this live, and it was just like... The best part of the match was after Goldberg won, special guest referee Stone Cold Steve Austin gave them both a stunner. Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
and the crowd was like, good.
Good, get them.
Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
Right? And it was so you'll forgive me for not being thrilled at the thought of
I wasn't thrilled
Goldberg versus Lesnar 2.
I was not thrilled. I was not thrilled at this just for the fact that it was like my Brock Lesnar card was all out of stamps.
Yeah.
And my Goldberg card I lost years ago. I was like, I really don't care. It's like no one liked the match that you guys had when you were in your prime. Yeah.
how are we supposed to care about this now? Especially because Goldberg was the featured character in this year's, because they do a different character every year. He was the featured wrestler in this year's WWE 2K.
Yeah.
So WWE 2K17, if you pre-ordered it or you buy the DLC, you get to play as Goldberg and you go through Goldberg's career. And so people were like, oh, Goldberg. I wonder if we'll see Goldberg come, because, previously, like, Warrior showed up and Sting showed up when they were in the thing, and Austin showed up. But we hadn't seen Goldberg.
Yeah.
And people were, is this going to happen? And then, who challenged who for this match?
Goldberg challenged Brock. Or wait, no. Brock challenged Goldberg because they were talking, because it was like Goldberg was on ESPN, right?
Yes.
And some people were saying, they asked a question that said, so there's some people out there that want you to fight Brock Lesnar again.
Yeah.
And he was like, sure. Basically, that was the answer. And then, okay, to be fair, the Brock Lesnar stuff leading up to this was awesome, as it usually kind of is, because it's Paul Heyman.
What confused me was this was so obviously puppeteered together, right? Because someone asked Goldberg, "Would you fight him?" And Goldberg was like, "Yeah, all right." And so Lesnar basically issued the challenge.
Yeah.
But then Heyman was like, "What? Why are you doing this, Goldberg? Don't bring this up. Don't go back to you already won. Heyman was cutting this promo like this was Goldberg's idea.
Yeah.
Being like, why would you do this? Don't come into this again, when Goldberg hadn't said anything yet.
Yeah. The only thing he really said was like, yeah, I could come back. I could think I've got a match left in me.
Yeah.
Just kind of like a guy talking like he wasn't going to wrestle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, maybe. And then Brock Lesnar was like, Goldberg think he can beat me up? You tell Bill Goldberg that he's a little bitch or something. I can't remember
They've been dropping F-bombs. I mean, bleeped, but they've been
just for Brock, yeah.
Brock gets away with
Actually, Becky Lynch said bitch.
Yeah.
Last week on SmackDown. I was like, huh.
So
the Attitude Era's coming back, baby.
So then Goldberg did show up on Raw and was like, I accept your challenge, basically, even though who's challenged who is so up in the air.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he accepted the challenge and was, it'll be...
And he said, not only are you next, last.
It'll be my next match, but it'll be your last, or something like that.
No, he said, you're next, and you're last.
Right.
So we assumed that was just like a one and done, right?
Yeah.
But, spoiler alert, Goldberg has announced himself for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And so is Brock Lesnar.
To be in the Rumble.
In the Rumble. So if Goldberg wins the Royal Rumble, I'm burning the fucking stadium to the ground. I will be so upset.
Yeah.
I will be very upset.
I mean, I think that Goldberg's going to stop him from doing that.
You mean
right?
Lesnar?
Lesnar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that they're going to prevent that from happening.
I would hope so, but I don't put anything past
So anyway, Goldberg came back. He cut a good promo, right? They did the whole intro with him walking from the backstage. Crowd was really into it. I mean, he
does have a certain mystique.
He is a wrestling icon.
Yeah.
Right. Whether or not we were super into him at the time, I wasn't, because I never did watch WCW. But he is definitely a wrestling icon, and I totally respect that. And he's talking about how he missed being being a superhero for the kids, and he's like, now my son gets to see me do this, and this is super cool. And so that said, Brock will break you in half, and I'm watching this being like, this is cool that he's here, and I'm glad that he's getting a good reaction. But like I said, I saw the first Lesnar Goldberg, and I can't be arsed to
watch the second.
I'm all out of fucks to give. Why would I care, right? And so I'm not really looking forward to this. And so Lesnar comes out, and Goldberg does his whole being escorted by security guards thing, and he does hit by the pyro, and he breathes out the smoke.
That looks so awesome.
It does look rad.
He looks like a dragon coming out of a cave.
Yeah. Because it's like there's all this spark pyro, and he breathes in the smoke from it, and then the pyro stops, and he goes like,
he runs. Actually, the first thing I think of is a minotaur when he's breathing out of his nose like that. Yeah, it looks awesome.
Also, smart to have him cut this first promo in a big ass bulky jacket, because you have no idea how he looks under there. Yeah. Turns out he's in good shape.
Real shredded.
He
was doing 3 a days. He was working out 3 times a day.
Wow. He's like, what, 43 or something?
Something like that.
He
if
looks
I look like that when I'm 43, geez.
He looks amazing.
Yeah, he looks incredible.
And so I was like, oh, okay, that's better than I was expecting.
I'm not laying any blame, but part-timers can do steroids.
That's true. We talked about that before.
You could be juicing.
They don't get tested. Yeah, true. So, were the entrances longer than the match?
Yes.
Okay.
The match was 1 minute and like 20 some odd seconds. Spoiler alert.
I went to get another beer.
Was it over when you got back?
Yeah.
Oh.
Someone in the living room was like, he won. I'm like, what? So I watched the whole thing again afterwards, and because I was like, all right, settle in. This is gonna be slow paced because they're both old, and Brock's booked to be like suplex man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have no idea if Goldberg can still go. And so like the match starts, and they're sort of like circling each other and throwing a couple like slow looking moves or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll go get a beer and come back for the rest of this. And then Goldberg just explodes.
Yeah, it's like Lesnar does that thing where he bullies him into the corner, and mostly people just go, "Ooh, my stomach!" Like, "Oh, you're so strong, Brock!" And then he did it, and then Goldberg just like stood there, and then Brock kind of pulls back, and I appreciated this element of it, just Brock being so sure of himself. Mm-hmm. So Goldberg shoves Brock down, and Brock looks scared, and he gives a look to Heyman like,
he's like, "Did you see that shit?
Did you see that shit? What the fuck was that?" And then he when he gets up though, he turns his back on Goldberg, which leads to as soon as because Lesnar's on his looking up at Lesnar's looking at Goldberg, and then when he gets up, he turns around like that,
right?
And right when he turns back around, he gets speared, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" Or I was just like, "What the fuck?" And then he lets Lesnar get up again and spears him again. I'm like, "What the fuck?" And then he puts him in the jackhammer and hits him with the jackhammer, which is just a suplex into a power slam. Basically, it's very simple. And then 1, 2, 3, and it's over. And I'm just like,
1 minute and 26 seconds.
Look, I understand that they like to shock us.
Yeah.
And I understand that the match probably would have been awful if it was longer, but I still feel disgusted and cheated when stuff like this happens. Me as a person.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah.
In the moment, I was too baffled to be upset. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
What? Because also being out of the room, I think he was like, it's over now? I'm like, what?
Look, they had a Brock Lesnar problem that needed to be solved.
Yeah.
Because Brock was just destroying everyone.
Yeah.
And it's I understand that maybe the story they're trying to tell is no matter how big and bad you are, there's always someone out there that's bigger and badder than you.
Yeah.
So it does.
By the way, we talked about Raw didn't have any storyline stuff. This is not a Raw storyline. This is these guys are on their own side level of the Brock Lesnar Goldberg storyline. They're not on the roster. They're technically on the roster, but this is not an ongoing. This is not a week to week. They're there every week.
We don't get updates every week on Goldberg.
But anyway, so it's one of those weird things where it's I like a lot about what this means.
Yeah.
I like that, I like that they're actually going somewhere with this, that it wasn't just a one-off spectacle, because Goldberg has said he's doing other stuff. Mm-hmm. I like that Brock didn't just get beaten, but got
manhandled
and quickly.
Yeah.
I also in the ring, I like that Lesnar's an unstoppable fiend, but that he sells. When it has to, when it's time for him to lose, he will make it. He'll make you believe it, right? I like that he didn't just lose. He got manhandled quickly and is baffled.
Yeah.
Right. And I liked all of that, but in the moment, you are sort of whoa, what the shit? What, it doesn't feel good in the moment. It feels shocking.
Yeah.
But
that's a good way of putting it. I just hated how they used that Brock getting beat on Goldberg. Because long term, what does that do?
Well, it doesn't matter long term, because the thing is, Goldberg is on that sort of wrestling demigod level that, if someone on the main roster beats Goldberg, it's just as good. Because it's like, well, Goldberg
yeah, but
is Goldberg.
I'm worried that, like, is this going to be... Is Goldberg the new Brock Lesnar? Like, is he going to be just destroying people for months now? Like, is Goldberg going to come back every 3 or 4 months, wrestle somebody, just eliminate, like, what Lesnar had done the last few months? Like, just maul somebody and then that's it?
Tough call.
Look, I realized that Brock Lesnar was a problem that needed to be solved.
Yeah.
Like, they had written themselves into a corner with this character. The thing with wrestling is, like, you always just got to wait and see what happens, right?
Which is tough.
Which is the worst part. Because it's like, when something happens, I'm like, that's dumb. And then you got to wait for a payoff. Like,
yeah.
They don't have a good track record with their payoffs.
No.
Where's our Triple H payoff? Why did he help Kevin Owens win the title?
Yeah, can we go back to that for a sec? Triple H shows up, beats up Seth Rollins, gives the title to Kevin Owens, and then is never seen again.
Never.
That is never addressed.
Actually, he was seen after Night of Champions at the very end.
Yeah.
He comes out of a limousine, says, how did things go tonight? Steph says, great, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But they were looking at each other, when it happened, they were looking at each other like they hated each other. Because Triple H didn't talk to Steph when he saw her that night.
Yeah.
Was like, gave her a look, like a glare.
Steph looked astonished, and there's no payoff for that. I don't explain
That's why, man.
Motivation.
They don't have a good... They don't have...
The follow-through. Not a good follow-through.
They don't have a good track record.
Yeah.
On the follow-through.
So it's...
The Bork Laser Goldberg match.
Bork Laser.
I just didn't like it, okay?
Yeah.
I understand that I was shocked. I still didn't like it. I still stand by that this was the worst pay-per-view of the night, or the year.
I don't remember enough of the rest of them to disagree with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, every Sunday night, it seems, though people have actually soured on it, but it used to be, like, every Sunday night, people would be watching The Walking Dead, and I'd see on my Twitter feed, be like, holy shit, Walking Dead, what the hell? You know, people getting, like, mad at The Walking Dead for something that's happening, or getting mad at Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, and being like, oh my God, what the hell's going to happen next time? And, like, so I get the idea of, like, not everything has to be a good feeling.
Yeah.
If you want to make that argument, I suppose. But I don't know. Yeah, like I understand some ways in which this was a good decision. What Culture did a video on like why it was a good decision for this to happen. But at the same time, you can't disagree that in that moment, it is not a good feeling.
No.
You're just like, oh.
I just don't, you know what my problem is? I don't understand why somebody else couldn't have beaten him. I just don't get it. You know what I mean?
At least the match wasn't 13 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't get why, like, somebody on the main roster who's there every week could have just beaten Brock Lesnar.
Well, because again, it's
that leads to another problem.
It's like a different thing, though, right? Like Goldberg beating Lesnar doesn't do anything to Lesnar's beastliness.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Because again, he's like I said, he's on like a demigod level.
There's actually a great promo. Like Paul Heyman's there the next night.
He's a mythic figure. Yeah.
And he's like, we fucked up. Like, basically, that's the promo. He's like, yeah, we underestimated him.
Yep.
Yeah, we fucked up.
Whoops.
And also, my only problem is, Goldberg's up 2-0. If they have another match, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
If he loses, it's like, I'm still 2-1. Peace, bitch. Like, I'll see you later. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't, there's no, like,
yeah.
There's nothing worth it.
Yeah.
There's nothing worthwhile online, so... If they if they put the title on one of them and they have a title match, because they're gonna fight at Mania. Like, that's what they're leading to.
How crazy is it?
Because like, if Brock wins the title, if Goldberg wins the Royal Rumble, I swear to God, I'm never watching wrestling again. It's on camera now. I can't go back.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, I know you're probably right.
How weird is it that if he continues to just destroy Brock, how weird is it that like the new final boss of the WWE is the biggest Superman of WCW?
Oh yeah, I never thought about that.
Man, you know what was weird is oblique spoilers, but like a couple weeks ago, the champions in the WWE of the men's division were Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, and then in NXT Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
How weird is that?
When we started this show, someone told me, hey, in December, BT Dubs,
AJ Styles and Samoa Joe are going to hold top titles in the WWE.
And Kevin Owens.
Yeah, I'd be like,
you're
how dare you?
You're like, Hey,
don't you lie to me.
future Adam and future Graham, you pieces of shit, don't lie to us.
I mean, I would do that to me.
So, hey, by the way, hey, watch this.
Yeah. Check
You want to see something real funny?
AJ Styles is going to hold the top title in the company. Yeah. Ha, future me.
Yeah, but he's going to do it alongside Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe.
It's so weird.
I can't wait for Samoa Joe to get up to the main roster.
That'll be interesting.
He's going to SmackDown.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. All right, friends.
So that was Survivor Series.
Yeah, I mean, I still stand by. It was my least. I shouldn't say the worst show of the year. It was my least favorite.
That's fair. Yeah.
I should word that better. Words are important. It was my least favorite
Words
show of
mean
the year.
things.
Just because of the reasons I explained, and I thought the main event was bullshit. Okay, I understand that there's problems, but I think there are other ways to handle these problems. I don't know, maybe call me a purist, but I think somebody should have just beat Lesnar. I think Ambrose should have beat Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Yeah. I agree. Because it was a street fight. You had every opportunity to have him get a win over Lesnar, but not have it diminish Lesnar.
Yeah. Fuck. Anyway, speaking of things that don't diminish, Graham, you are on Twitter.
Yeah. At Graham_LRR.
Yeah, and I am also on Twitter at WakeUpSuper.
I was really trying to come up with a segue. I was just going to be like, and speaking of Twitter.
Dude, there's this commentator in the fighting game community. Yeah. Legendary segues. Like he does a lot of the commentating for like the main Capcom events. His name's Sajam, and his segues are like amazing. I'm always blown away.
I try real hard. And
it's tough. Man.
It is tough.
It's real tough.
My favorite that I ever did was in an episode of Corpline with the weather person was talking about divine judgment and how like the weather is going to be like, like a plague or whatever. And then she left and was like, Jesus save us all or something. And I was like, well, speaking of men judging us from above, we go now to Richter Hammock Slam up in the QWRP Traffic Quapter. Because he's very judgmental. Yeah. And so that stopped the room for a second. That's probably the best segue I've ever made. Yeah.
Catalog it. Remember it forever.
Write that one down. Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for this. And then at some point we'll talk about TLC whenever I've watched.
You let me know when you watched it, and then we'll do a recording immediately.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. As always, please subscribe to the channel if you're watching on the channel.
Yeah,
check out the streams on twitch.tv/LoadingReadyRun. And all of this is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon. Patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. You. And thank you all for watching. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.